I'm going to go to the forum, and I want to look at Barb Miracle's horse, because see, what I need to do is when I see these issues with your guys' feet on your horse, and I'm seeing a similar issue in a lot of feet, I need to start taking a picture of it and then collect them all into one place. As you are restoring heels, you are restoring the whole foot and the inner anatomy of that foot as well. Barb and Walker. Okay, you see, what I see here is some heel growth has overtaken the quarter right here. Do you see that? And does this horse have a big scar right here too? See, very, very underrun heel here. And what you're going to find on some of these horses is that when you're growing the heel is going to overtake what you're restoring in the front of the foot and in the quarter. See that horn tubule, how that horn tubule goes clear to there from here to here? So what we have to do is figure out a way. You're going to have to go ahead and take some of this wall off right here so that this can move back and bevel the quarter. You see this piece of wall here? He's off the track, and they did the long toe, low heel on him because they think with the long toe that horse is going to be able to reach out, and they are so stupid, and racehorse people sometimes are the worst horsemen on the face of the earth. I know, because my mother is one. That looks like that heel's wanting to crack off there. He's already flat on the ground, so you might have to go ahead and take some of this heel off and work on just the toe, the horn tubules and the quarters coming back, and kind of let this start again. And your heel is a little bit better in this foot. Okay, so on this foot, what you're going to need to work on is more the toe. Okay, this is more what I'm talking about here. See these horn tubules here? These have to be able to come back this way. And they can't as long as you have this little ridge of foot going right here. Okay, what you got to start doing, sometimes I would be looking at my feet and I would look down, and this whole area here, look at that. See how that goes like that? Okay, that is preventing anything from happening. Now your heels have grown, but they're grown forward like that. And so I would come in here and I would just set a Sharpie on the ground, and then I would come in here and I would just take off all this hoof wall like that. And that would start to allow, see now your toe is short here, see? But all these horn tubules over here are preventing anything from happening. See that? There's no room for them to move back there. Somehow you're going to have to come in here and take some of this wall off here in a better bevel, or sometimes what I do, like I say, I'd put a Sharpie on the ground, and then I'd start here and I'd just roll it along the ground right here, and then I'd just come in there and I'd bevel that whole thing off right there. Not exactly, because you can't follow the growth rings, because see, your growth rings are like this. See, you can't follow the growth ring. I'd be standing there looking down at my foot, and I would look and I would see where this came around. I will get into this more, because this is really something that a lot of people have. They have a short, pretty short toe, okay? But all these horn tubules here are like this. This cannot be longer than this, because all the horn tubules are supposed to recede in length. You would have, ideally, you would have this. Then it would be shorter, and shorter yet, and shorter, a little bit shorter than that even, and a little bit shorter than that, and a little bit shorter than that, and a little bit shorter than that. Well, I made that same length. A little bit shorter, a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter, And a little bit shorter. See what I mean? But that's not what you got going on here. You got this one short here, but then you got these horn tubules here. This horn tubule here should be clear back here and end in about here. You see that? But what happens when the heels are grown shortened like this, and then they grow forward, see, this heel should be clear back up here. So all these horn tubules have grown like this. So they're longer than this one here. Before you can ever fix the underrun heel, you have to fix these horn tubules here. And that's why I said I would be standing there looking at the foot down on the ground, and right or wrong or indifferent, I would see this piece of hoof wall, and I thought, you know what, that hoof wall shouldn't be like that. So I come in, I set my pin, you know, a Sharpie marker, when you set it on the ground, it's going to come up to about here. Here. I'd have a Sharpie marker, and I'd just go like this and go back to the heel. And then I'd go and I'd rasp off all of this here. And somehow that worked really good to start moving these horn tubules back that way. You know, I didn't know exactly what was going on exactly, but for some reason when I was looking down at the ground and I saw this piece of hoof wall having this kind of a look to it, I thought, that shouldn't be there. So I just come in there with the Sharpie and go like that. You know, the Sharpie was on the ground. Of course, it wasn't on the ground. You know, I have these mats out here. And so I would just take it, but I kept it on the ground, but I would go along the side of the foot right here. And then I'd say, okay, I'm just going to rasp that off to see what happens. Now, and trim the heel too. You're probably going to have to trim some of the heel off. Look right here, because your heel, look at, it's grown clear up into here. There's your heel right there. That's the end of your heel. So yeah, that would be trimming a little bit of that heel off there. Are you understanding about how you have to line these horn tubules up when they have grown forward, clear up to the toe, or when they are longer than the toe? The longest horn tubule should be in the center of the toe. From there, they should recede in the way they are shaped. See that? That is the shape of the foot, and the horn tubules should be in alignment. So what we are doing, in order for these horn tubules to come back that way and realign up right here, we have to give them room. Do you understand? There's no room for them to move here. See, this toe will push them back if you give them some room right here. Okay, now we know that we can't trim this and they're just going to move, but it changes the weight-bearing dynamics, so they will start, and actually some of them will actually just move back. But technically we're setting it up to grow this way. It may take a couple of growth cycles to get everything, you know, lined up, but some of this stuff will just move when it's given some room too. The foot, that hoof capsule is a lot more fluid than what you think. This one ain't quite as bad, okay, but you do have a lip. This must be a similar foot to the one I just did, or the same foot but a different picture. Because again, see where this is all forward here? Here you see, okay, let's follow this horn tubule here. Right here, we're going to follow this horn tubule. Let's follow this one. Something is holding this foot up right here. Is that the same foot, but after you've trimmed it a little bit? Because it looks a little different. Here's your dorsal wall. Okay, this is almost as long as this is. This one is. See there? Once you know how these horn tubules are supposed to line up, you can start to figure out kind of how to work with them to get them to move. See, again, I think I would take off some of this here just to give this some room. Well, that's in that, some of that alternate beveling, that's what that helps do too. Finding if this had some room, these horn tubules here might push these back a little more. I'm telling you, that alternate beveling has worked great for me. Alternate beveling is where one time, well, I'll show you. I mean, we in general, a lot of times alternate bevel anyway. That's where you take the toe back to the white line, you take the pillars down to the level of the sole and then back to the water line. Then you take the quarter back to the white line, you know, and then you just take your heels down flat to where you measured them to. But alternate beveling is where the next time you do it different. The next time you're going to leave a little bit more in the toe. You're not going to quite take it back, but you're going to bevel those pillars to the white line. And then you're going to leave some of the quarter. Okay, and of course you always pretty much leave the heel, do a lot there, but except rasp it to the side sometimes. On this foot, I'm going to show you, I did the alternate bevel where I just trimmed, the last trim, I trimmed down the pillars. So that's why it looks more pointy. Now this is 11 days growth. I had taken these pillars clear back to the white line, but I had left more in the quarter and more in the toe. On this trim, I did just the opposite. Okay, that's just trimmed. Here, I just took down the pillars to the water line. You see that? Okay, but the toe is beveled to the white line at a 40-degree angle, and the quarters from here to here are also beveled at a 40-degree angle. You see what I mean by alternate beveling? That way, one time the toe gets a chance to move back and the quarters get a chance to move in or have room. The next time you're leaving that for support, but you're totally beveling this part here then the next time to the white line, and that gives a chance for those pillars, for the horn tubules in the pillars to come back or any jamming to come out of that area. What made you decide to shorten the toe from the bottom here? Okay, here's the apex of my frog. Here is, from here to here is 1.5 inches. That's where I always take my toe to. 1.5 to the white line. That's where I always take that toe to. That's where it wants to be. And that's where the anatomy, the measurements of the toe tell me that toe wants to be. Now, 1.5 inch, 1 inch right here is about where the sole corium ends, right here. Okay? But then from the sole corium grows a sole ridge. See right here? This is the sole ridge right here. The toe, the internal toe ends here. You have this because the hoof wall grows down and forward, right? So the sole has to be further ahead of the end of the toe of the internal foot. About here, he's got a good amount of sole growing. I'm not just chopping him off right here, right at his sole corium. Oh, well, see, that's the thing. There's no such thing as a toe callus. I mean, there is. Oh, that's a whole nother teaching. See, that's one of the things I found out that was not accurate. He hasn't got a toe callus. That's just convex sole ridge growing in the toe. Now, does it get more compressed sometimes? Yes, but it'll also grow out of bounds. That sole and that toe just grow. It's not really a toe callus per se. It's the natural shape and form of the sole, which is convex. A convex sole ridge and sole grows right here. Jean Ovanek mistook. Okay, let me tell you this. Farriers, I explained this earlier. Farriers do not, and vets and the anatomists and everything, they do not know the true shape of the sole. They think that it's only concave here. They do not know that you have a convex ridge of sole growing around the perimeter of the foot. Let me show you something. Look at here. I want to show you this. This is computerized anatomy that they have done, that they are teaching in these colleges and stuff like that. Now, I want you to look at the lamina on this foot. Where does it go? It starts here. It goes right to the very, very end of the foot, right? Where's the sole corium? Only under the foot. And so vets, farriers, anatomists, all these people, see, you're not just looking for what you think is a toe callus. You're also looking for concavity, right? Don't they tell you, oh, you've got to have concavity? Is not that correct? Okay, this is the way they see the foot. And this is why they tell you you have to have this certain kind of concavity, because look there. The underside of the foot looks to be concave. Okay, and so the sole is going to be this shape. You're looking for this shape. Now look again. Here's the lamina leaves. Where do they have them? Clear down to the very end of the rim of the foot. Is not that correct? This they represent as the sole corium. Where is it? Only on the underside concave part of the foot. Is not that correct? So consequently, if I see a raised area in the toe here that goes like this, I'm going to think, well, that's a toe. That must be a callus or something in that toe. Vets, farriers, everybody, this is the way they are taught to see the foot. But that is not the true foot. This is the true foot right here. The lamina comes down, it ends right here, and it doesn't go all the way to the end of the foot. This here is sole corium right there. This is why this class is about understanding the true shape of the foot, the true shape of the sole. So this here, sole corium starts here. Lamina ends here. That isn't the way it was on that other foot. Okay, on the other foot, the computerized foot, and on all the anatomy drawings they do, the lamina, they have the lamina go clear down to the very edge. They have the sole corium start on the underside here, on the concave part. This is not the true foot. On this, the lamina comes down to here, doesn't go all the way down to the end. The sole corium starts here and then goes around the foot. Sole corium starts here and goes around like that. See it? This grows a convex ridge of sole around the whole foot, including the toe. And this is what they mistook for a toe callus. What we are doing is we are restoring the foot, and we are growing this convex ridge of sole around the whole perimeter of the foot. See that toe? This toe has a convex ridge of sole that grows around it like this. See there? All the way around. Okay, so this convex part that is right here, he never seen that in a horse before, because you know what farriers do? They always carve out the sole and set the shoe on the wall. So they're always carving into the sole and forcing it to be concave. And they're always carving out this convex ridge of sole. And they don't even know the horse has a convex ridge of sole that it is supposed to grow. That is your so-called toe callus. See, they don't have a toe callus. Now, can the sole and the toe get compacted and have different things happen to it? Yes. But it is also in the toe where you see the convex ridge the most. You don't really see it over here as much for some reason. Sometimes it just gets real pronounced here in the toe. But that's the natural sole. And just like anything on the foot, it can grow out of bounds, and it can compact, and it can get too high and too thick and compressed. And so like anything else, bars, wall, sole, frog, you have to maintain the structure and anatomy of that sole in the toe. Because if you don't trim it, your toe, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And your foot that's supposed to be this long is going to wind up being this long. See there? Because this wall can grow clear out to here and have what looks like that toe callus and have a nice clean white line, and yet your wall should have ended back here, and instead it's ending clear up here. It's all about understanding what you're trying to do. You're trying to cultivate and grow this anatomical shoe that has been placed in the foot by this convex ridge of sole that grows right here, and it can grow up to 1 inch thick. Why would you need an iron shoe if you had an inch thick convex ridge of sole that is even the same width as the shoe they usually put on the horse's foot? Okay, see that? Hoof Explorer 3D anatomy software. They screwed up. See that? They haven't got the anatomy right. But because that's been put in their mind that the sole is convex, see, they can do 1 million dissections and still not see the truth about this foot. Okay, there you go. Look at it. Look at the lamina. This is not my dissection. Look at the lamina comes down before it gets to the bottom of the foot. What do you got here? That is sole corium. So what does that grow? A convex ridge of sole around the whole toe. Look here. Can you see the sole? The sole is convex here. This foot is fitting in and growing this ridge of sole right here. I'm just showing you the sole corium. It's like this. It grows this ridge of sole. There we go. Understand the true shape and form of the sole. Concentric, convex, and concave. Convex at the rim. There you go. This is what he mistook as a toe callus. It is convex here, and then when it gets under here, then it turns concave. But the way the wall grows down and the way the sole attaches to it, a lot of times it'll look totally concave. You can't see that ridge of sole, just like this here. You can't really see the ridge of sole, but it's there. But because of the way the wall grows, you can't see it. See there? See how that foot looks only concave, right? But it's not. It's just because the wall grows a certain way and pulls the edge of the sole with it, and it makes the whole thing look concave, when in reality, there's a big, thick, convex ridge of sole right here. Okay, well, Barb, you're going to have to learn to trim the sole ridge, because the sole ridge can grow out of bounds. You have to learn to define and to maintain the sole and to read it and understand it and eventually figure out what you're supposed to develop here. I trim when the sole gets out of hand and it's not anatomically right. I trim it. When it's too long, I trim it back. Bethany says, yes, wouldn't I have to trim the sole ridge to get my toe back? Yes, you would. And let me tell you why. Because the wall, the sole is attached to the wall. And so when the wall stretches out, a lot of times it pulls and stretches the sole out with it. And you won't see it because it will still keep a tight white line, and you'll think your foot is just right. But in truth, that toe can stretch out 4 inches and still keep a tight white line. The thing is, On some of these horses that have thin sole, you have to learn the difference between taking a wall down and taking a wall back. See, a lot of times when you're taking a wall back and you're taking some sole with it, you're not thinning the sole out. You're just taking back that stretch sole that's stretched forward. So when you get that wall back and the wall can retain, your wall has to come down like this. You see how the inner part of that wall joins up with the sole right here? It keeps the sole retained back here so that the sole can grow to its optimum thickness. When the wall has come out like this, it pulls this sole with it. Then your sole is going to be very thin-soled. So you're not taking any sole out of the horse. You're not taking any thickness of sole. Do you understand? This is thickness here. This is stretched forward sole here. So you come in here, you measure to where your white line is supposed to be, which is at that 1.5 inches on your regular average size horse. That gives you plenty of room, brings you clear out here. That's going to bring you out here past the toe. Then you take your rasp and you just start rasping back like this till you get to that line right there. This is going to make this wall want to recede and come back in and push the sole back up under your toe so that the wall, again, is retaining that sole. Sorry, this is kind of a mess, I know. That wall is retaining that sole back up where it should be so that you can get some sole and it can grow right here. If your wall is clear out here, it just stretches thin sole and your sole will never be thick. And so people are afraid to take that toe back. Oh, my horse, he doesn't have any sole now. Well, and he never will, because this wall is a retaining wall. It has to retain this sole back up under the rim of the foot where it belongs so it can grow to its optimum thickness here. So see all these little things. See, that's what happened to me. Don't touch the toe callus. It was like I felt like I was stomping on the Holy Grail well, my toe got longer and longer and longer. And my frog apex stretched forward and forward and forward. All of this stuff will stretch way forward on you. And finally, I went and got x-rays on my horse because I just wanted to see. And the toe was way longer than what I thought. So then I figured out where the true apex of the frog was, and I figured out where his inner toe should be. And then I drew a line, and I must have chopped off with nippers 1 inch of toe. I just closed my eyes and started cutting. And guess what? There was no blood there. It was all false toe, stretched forward toe. But here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn that the anatomy, you have to let the anatomy be your guide, the inner anatomy be your guide, and not trust the hoof capsule. I went clear into the sole with the nippers. I cut straight across the toe because I didn't really understand about rasping the toe back yet. I have a video of taking a really long toe back of a horse I do for free that I don't get out to do too often, so he gets kind of long. So I've done him before. I have a video on him. He's the horse that's always jerking his hand out of my feet, and I call him a jerk, and everybody thinks I'm horrible. But the horse would never get trimmed if I didn't go do it, and I do it for free. He is being kind of a jerk. And I'm 61 years old, so if I'm in my video and I go, "You jerk, give me that foot," that hurts your sensibilities. Sorry. So I got a new video of me trimming this horse. His toe was way long this time because I hadn't been out there in a while. A lot of times for me, in truth, maybe it isn't the horse's fault, but it's, 102 degrees, and I'm 61 years old, and even if I wasn't that old, it is very difficult getting under these horses. Oh, yeah, Rufus says, I'm like, quit. Yeah, is that what I say? Do I say that a lot? Quit! Getting all frustrated, Give me that foot! Don't even breathe. my horses or nothing like that, you know. So all these details, but you get, you know, every single thing here took me hundreds and hundreds of hours to finally figure out. Every part of this trim, and I am still learning more, but every part is based on this inner foot. I knew that the concept of the wild horse trim was true. I just knew it was true, no matter what. But then I was led to the inner foot and the anatomy slowly over time. I think that's all we're going to do for today. What will make you a good trimmer is when you understand this foot more, how this hoof wall grows, how it's supposed to fit, what its functions are on each part. You have to understand accurately. You know, how can these people grow the correct foot when they don't even know the shape of the sole, for crying out loud? Yeah, now, do you really think there's any excuse for this? See, there is no excuse for them anymore. For crying out loud, you would think with all the dissections that barefooters have done, that, I mean, you ever see these clinics where they got 100 legs they're dissecting? What is the excuse? Well, I guess they just trim those feet. They don't take that hoof capsule off and look at it enough. What is the excuse for these experts not knowing what this sole is anatomically structured like? Well, that's it for the night, my friends. So we're going to learn this stuff. We're going to spread the word. Remember my poem, One Man Awake? Maybe some of you haven't heard that poem. One man awake. One man awake awakens another. The second awakens his next door neighbor, and 3 awake can rouse the town and turn the whole place upside down. And 4 awake can raise such a fuss that it finally awakens the rest of us. One man awake with dawn in his eyes multiplies. I want to build an army of people that are going to make a fuss and take down the established order. We're taking down the establishment. Okay? Yahoo! You bet. Yeah, I knew you gals would be into it. Yeah, they're going to be sorry they screwed us around. Sorry you messed with my horse, buddy. It's the only thing brings me joy in my life. You know, that my dog. Okay, keep on keeping on. Hey, everybody have a good week. If you haven't joined the TACT team, okay, this is what I need to know. Who is not on the TACT Team 17 Facebook page? Okay, people, well, I'm going to sign out of here. Hey, everybody have a good week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great week, and we will talk to you throughout the week, and see you next week. Bye-bye.